Live, local, and talking about the teams that matter to you. This is Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Brought to you by McMahon's Best One Tire and Auto Care.
Good morning and welcome to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One. Good morning along with DC Hendricks. I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be talking local sports of all sorts till the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. And we'll give way to the Judge Phil Houck and America's foremost authority on Notre Dame Fighting Irish football, Tim Priester, as they give you Fighting Irish preview. And after that victory over Louisville last week, they'll take a rest. Figures I'm available to watch a game today, and no game. Anyway, so welcome in. We've got a lot to talk about this morning. Of course, week 7 of the high school football season is in the history books now. We're going to talk to Justin Kenny in just a moment. He is standing by patiently. And then we'll talk to Mike McCaffrey, athletic director at the University of St. Francis, in our weekly Cougar chat. And, I think the Cougars scored again. They scored 70 last week. And, my goodness, it was quite the football game. So, and then we will talk with the Summit City Sluggers founder, Mark Delagarza. He's got a very special project in the works that it is very interesting to talk about and see about helping him get things rolling. So anyway, we'll do that. We'll take all your texts at 260-447-8500 on the text line. So, without further ado, you know what? Let's go to the Talkin Sports phone line powered by Fire Police City County Federal Credit Union, because on that line should be none other than the recent birthday boy, Mr. Justin Kenny. Justin, are you there?
I am here, fellas. How are we doing this morning?
Oh, you don't even sound older. You still have that youthful exuberance. Now are you there?
I am here.
There we go. Okay.
That's for sure.
Are you cutting in and out on us? Okay.
Let me.
There we go. Okay. Why don't you, there. Let's talk about high school football, and let's start out with the Summit Athletic Conference first, if you're still with us. And I think we're going to reconnect with Mr. Kenny. But we had a lot of intrigue last night heading into week 7 of the high school football season. Rivalry week in the Summit Athletic Conference with all except, I guess, Wayne and Concordia. And like I said last night, the rivalry game between Wayne and Concordia that was won by the Generals. But I believe we've got Justin back on the line. Is this correct?
I am here, fellas. Okay.
Well, let's head right into it in case we get glitched again. Last night, Carroll Homestead, after Carroll eked a 17-16 win over the Wayne Generals the week before, and Homestead was beaten by the Snyder Panthers, shut out by the Snyder Panthers. They meet at Homestead last night, and it was a tight game, through 3 quarters, and then Jimmy Sullivan spoils the party.
Yeah, you felt like it was only a matter of time until Jimmy Sullivan really went off in this game. It was tied at 10, and credit to Homestead for really staying in this game and particularly defensively containing that Carroll offense, particularly that running game. I mean, Nate Starks really had nothing on the ground. DeJuan Green got involved, but it was an effort by Homestead to really limit that rushing attack. And Jimmy Sullivan really went to work, 23 of 33, 315 yards, a pair of touchdowns, one to Jaden Van Pelt, one to Harrison Sheely. And in the end, Carroll gets their win, their 5th straight, guys, in this series. It's the longest winning streak by Carroll in the series, all the way back to when they started it. So congratulations to Carroll. They remain in that driver's seat in that big division of the SAC.
Yes, indeed. With that 5-0 conference record as well, you got Snyder 4-1, Dwenger now 3-2. And let's talk about those Saints. An 8-0 victory over Bishop Luers in the Battle of the Bishops. Gus Tipman, 90 yards rushing for the Saints. But that staunch defense was the story of the night for the Saints.
Yeah, it was, guys. And it was just an absolute grind out at Shields Field this game. It was just there's not much in the way of passing. Henry Jordan out due to injury. Bishop Luers still trying to find an effective signal caller, rotated between a couple juniors as they have kind of most of the season. But credit that Bishop Dwenger defense. That's been a much maligned unit for the last couple of years, and it's the first shutout pitched by Bishop Dwenger in 43 games. And it was just a very impressive performance by that defense, because at any moment when most of that game was within a field goal or 6 points, if Bishop Luers was able to break a play and score, then it would put them in front and put Bishop Dwenger having to play from behind. And it was a night where neither offense wanted to play from behind because there wasn't much going on. So credit to that Bishop Dwenger defense, not allowing Bishop Luers to get a big play and maybe switch the game and the momentum. And it's a big win for Bishop Dwenger. Always a big win in the Battle of the Bishops, and to shut out your rival at home and get the Bishops Trophy is a big deal. So congratulations to the Saints.
I wonder when the last time was the only offense generated by the Saints were 2 field goals and a safety.
That's a very good question. Credit to Lucas Nguyen, because
yes,
it was his leg that gave Bishop Luers 6 of those 8 points, and they were crucial points because, and like I said, at any moment Luers could spring a play and score a touchdown, and then the safety with the tackle of Darier Williams in the end zone by Tommy Pori. So a very, very impressive defensive effort by the Saints.
And speaking of shutouts, we had the Northside Legends shutting out Southside in a tight one, 6-0.
Another really, really close rivalry game last night in the Totem Pole game, and it was a interesting play that came about to represent those 6 points. KJ Alexander, the Southside quarterback, scrambling in his own end zone. Sosovian Harris, the senior for Northside, laid a hit that dislodged the ball, whether you want to call it a fumble or an interception. It was grabbed in midair by Jamari Pearson in the end zone. They ruled it an interception. Touchdown Legends, and that was the difference in that game between my alma mater and DC's alma mater.
DC is not even looking. He turned around, folded his arms, and I think he's mad. So
that's 7 straight wins for Northside, by the way, in the series.
Yes, and the Legends are lurking in the B division, just a game behind the Bishop Luers Knights. Of course, one of the Northside losses was to Luers, but Northside now 3-2, Luers 4-1. So that'll be interesting going forward. The Snyder Panthers behind Aaron Vance beat Northrop 49-14. Vance over 300 yards passing, 310 or 11, I believe, 4 touchdown passes and a couple rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, 6 total scores for Aaron Vance last night, finished with 311 yards passing. It's the 28th consecutive victory by Snyder over their quote-unquote rival Northrop. So tell DC it could be worse in the Totem Pole game as Snyder continues to assert its dominance over the Northrop Bruins.
He still won't look at anybody. He's still facing the wall with his arms folded.
He'll send me a mean text here after this segment's over.
I think he's texting now. He hasn't folded his arms. Anyway, Snyder, after that 35-0 shutout of Homestead comes back and exerts their authority on the Northrop Bruins, who have become a little more of an aerial game, obviously, with Mr. Callison and company. But, that defense held them down, and you got to take a look at things that, through now 7 weeks of the season, Snyder, and with their schedule, has only given up 89 points, so just over 11 or 12 points per contest. So like I said, with that early season tough schedule too. So should be interesting. Now on to the rivalry. What rivalry game? Wayne really takes it to Concordia, 44-20. Harold Mack, 169 passing yards, couple of touchdown passes, had a rushing touchdown. Jacob Sharon was the recipient of 2 of those touchdown tosses by Mr. Mack. And Wayne, once again, you talk about lurking. Well, they're 2-3 in conference, but 3-3 overall, and they're always dangerous.
Yeah, they are. It's that team that in that sectional that Wayne is in that nobody wants to play them. You look at sectional 19 and you look at the likes of East Noble and Columbia City and Leo, and nobody wants to draw Wayne because A, it's a different challenge because you haven't played them in terms of those 3 schools, and 2, it's the athleticism that they have and that they're able to employ. And how about Harold Mack? You mentioned him, Jim, about a kid that is looking to land a Division I scholarship somewhere or land a commitment. It could be easy for Harold Mack to say, my best chance to land a offer that I want to commit to would be to stay at wide receiver and showcase his skills there because he's a natural wide receiver. Instead, he steps up, he moves to quarterback, the most athletic kid on the field, and does it without any selfish motives or anything. He threw for 173 yards, a couple touchdowns. He is the guy that needs to make this offense run behind center as opposed to being a guy on the outside that's making catches. So a selfless act by Harold Mack to move to quarterback. It paid dividends last night. Another huge night last night for Kamar Nelson, guys. 5.5 sacks last night, 7.5 tackles for loss. I mean, the kid is incredible. Oh, and he rushed for a touchdown last night as well.
How many I didn't have individual stats on the Wayne Concordia game. How many total tackles did Mr. Nelson have?
It was a pedestrian night last night. Just 10 total tackles last night to go with those 5.5 sacks.
My gosh.
And 7.5 tackles for loss.
Still, that's still an incredible evening. And, he was a kid that coming into last night through 6 weeks had at least 2 games with 20 or more tackles. I think he opened up the season with 27 in a game. And just, my gosh, you talk about a talent. That is incredible for Kamar Nelson. But yeah, as you said about Harold Mack as well, doing what was going to help the team the most. And I think, don't you see also that more coaches are going to kind of the mindset that, hey, I'm going to put the ball in my best athletes' hands as much as possible. And I think whether it be moving players to quarterback or using a wildcat formation of some sort is getting the ball into the hands of the best players.
No, definitely. I think it's twofold. I think you're looking at coaches that are making the decision that instead of taking my best player on the field and hoping you can get him the ball in the offense, to making sure he's touching the ball every single play. And it can be, and then conversely, you need a player that maybe his future is at wide receiver to commit himself to, yes, I'm going to run this offense and maybe play out of position, but it's the best thing for my team this year. I think you see it with Tristan Newsome at Northside. It's a team that doesn't really have a natural quarterback to be back there. Instead, it's Newsome, and he's done a tremendous job. You see it with Harold Mack as well. We've seen it in recent history. So, I mean, you look at Kieran Billingsley with Snyder. I don't know if he was a natural quarterback, but you know what? It worked out last year for Snyder. They ended up winning the state title. So, yeah, it's twofold. You need coaches to not overthink it. At the high school level, you want your best players touching the ball as much as possible. I mean, that's kind of the mantra all the way through every level of football, but it's easier in high school to make sure your best athlete is behind center. And sometimes it takes a big commitment by a coach or a player or both, but when it's executed well by both sides, it can pay tremendous dividends.
And moving over to the Northeast 8 Conference, unlike the week before where there were 4 games and 4 shutouts, 21 in Ossian.
This was an interesting game, guys, because you look at what Norwell was able to do, 436 total yards to just 209 for DeKalb, but the Bears were able to force 3 turnovers, a pair of fumbles and an interception. They were able to score with 5 scores on the ground. The game saw a combined 32 penalties for 200 yards, so it wasn't the prettiest of games for either side, but credit to DeKalb, despite being outgained, despite having issues with penalties, they were able to make the plays and win this game. And it's another team, I think, when you look at DeKalb, that in the right situation in that sectional 19, depending on who they draw, could be a threat. But it was that offense last night that was able to do what it needed to do for Coach Seth Wilcox's team to put them to 3-4.
And in the NE8 game of the week last night, it was East Noble, 35-14 over Columbia City. And, well, it's more Dylan Crail and company, just saying, okay, well, we want this NE8 conference.
Yeah, it was a dominating performance last night by East Noble. And, we always wonder where Columbia City is at this time of year because the NE8 absurdly doesn't switch up the schedule. It's been the same, guys, since 1989, effectively. I mean, when the NE8 came, or the Northeast Hoosier Conference came into being, when Homestead and Carroll left, they just inserted Leo and Huntington North into the schedule and kept going. But it was a very dominant performance last night by East Noble, 365 total yards. I mean, Columbia City was able to move the ball. They just couldn't execute when it mattered. A couple interceptions thrown by Grayson Bradbury. Couldn't really put anything together on the plus side of the field. Riley Biddle, 3 touchdown passes, 169 yards. He was key, and being able to rush the football as well. As you mentioned, Dylan Crell with 58 yards. How about Dallas Plattner last night, go over the 100-yard mark, 106 yards. And for all the doubts, everybody thought, okay, going into Leo, East Noble, Leo may be the favorite. Now we go to Columbia City. Oh, my gosh, undefeated Eagles coming into Kendallville. It's been East Noble to really rise to both occasions. And I can tell you, though, that both Columbia City and Leo would love nothing more than to draw East Noble in the sectional, of which we'll have the sectional draw a week from tomorrow.
And speaking of Leo, of course, that's the opponent of the Columbia City Eagles next week in this gauntlet now of a second half of the season schedule for the Eagles. But Leo takes care of Huntington North 34-20, and it was, well, basically Huntington North scoring a couple of fourth quarter touchdowns to bring this margin a little bit tighter. But once again, I mean, you look at it and Leo gets production all over the place. Brock Schott leads things off with a touchdown. Landon Hepner breaks off a 60-yard run. That's their 2 D1 commits right there. Kellen Holbert with a 28-yard scamper from scrimmage. And then it's in Mr. Nathan Foster, 155 yards rushing. He had a couple of touchdowns, a 62-yard run and also a 45-yard run. So just in 2 carries, he went over 107 yards in that.
This is another big night for Nathan Foster. I mean, he's become one of the more consistent running backs in the entire area. And like you mentioned, rushed for 155 yards, a couple touchdowns last night, junior running back. It was a group effort for sure, though, for Leo. Huntington North's a tougher out than they've been in recent history, but Leo got it done last night. They've answered after that loss to East Noble in Week 5 with back-to-back wins. As you mentioned, they'll go to Columbia City next week before wrapping up the season with DeKalb. But I think this is a team that figured out what its weaknesses were in Week 5, particularly defensively. They've taken steps to combat those, and we'll see if they're able to shore those things up in time for the playoffs. As we know, it's probably inevitable that Leo and East Noble are going to play again in the sectional. It seems to always happen in recent years. So Leo's going to have another shot at their rival, probably in the playoffs. We'll see what happens, but they have a tough one against Columbia City. You can bet that they're going to want to bounce back at home next week.
Indeed. And the final game on the NE8 schedule last night had New Haven getting their first win of the season, 50 20-9 over the Belmont Braves, extending the Braves' losing streak.
Congratulations to Vance Shear getting win number 1. DJ Simpson, 3 touchdown runs for the Bulldogs last night, win number 1 on the year.
And then moving over to the Allen County Athletic Conference, not a lot of intrigue here. Of course, although we had the Heritage Bluffton game, which was circled on many calendars, and Heritage ruined that party, 51-20 over Bluffton. Eli Tagulis had 3 touchdown passes. Lucas Weber, 3 touchdowns, and Braden Walter had a couple of touchdowns for the Patriots in this one, as they just went in and made sure that everybody knew that they were bona fide.
I had somebody text me last night, guys, that was at this game and said simply, how did Heritage lose to Adams Central? And I said, well, Adams Central was pretty good. But that was how good Heritage was last night. 462 yards of total offense. They picked off Axton Best 3 times in the game and were just tremendous. I mean, they're huge up front. And that was what I heard from somebody that was at the game, was simply Heritage is humongous. And they were able to really instill their will up front last night, and Bluffton really couldn't do much of anything. That running attack for Bluffton really had trouble. And how about Heritage, guys? As we talk so much about Adams Central for good reason, and then that fight for number 2 in the league.
Yeah.
And Heritage, with that win last night, now has 16 consecutive wins over league opponents not named Adams Central. They have established themselves as that number 2 team in the league across 2 coaches, Jeremy Hollinger continuing the run. You wonder if they can continue the run after this year with that very talented senior class, but we make cases for Bluffton and South Adams, but Heritage, guys, has been that team over the last couple years to really be, hey, we're number 2 in this league.
Well, and you mentioned the Adams Central Flying Jets. They took on Southern Wells last night, beat them 55-0. However, the score at the end of one quarter of play was 48-0. So kudos to Adams Central for just managing that game in a classy manner. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, just dominating performance, 325 yards on the ground, 6 touchdowns for Adams Central. Roll over Southern Wells last night.
And South Adams gets a 34-14 win over an improved Jay County program.
That was a big win for South Adams to be able to win that one. And Titus Lehman, a good performance by the quarterback, 109 yards and a touchdown through the air, rushed for a couple more touchdowns. And South Adams is young, and I think Bluffton is young too. We talked about them earlier. I think it was a learning experience for them last night, just 2 seniors that get playing time for Bluffton. But South Adams is still trying to kind of find its way, maybe missing the dominating players that it's had in the recent history, but it's a good win over Jay County last night.
And how about them Warriors going over 500 for the first time in their 7 weeks of play? They're now 4-3 overall, 2-2 in the ACAC, but last night was non-conference, and they shut out a Prairie Heights team that is somewhat surprised at times this season, 42-0 for the Warriors.
I think when you look at Prairie Heights and the ability that offense has had this season with Mac Armstrong at quarterback, it's a very impressive performance. Back-to-back shutouts now for Woodland, both on the road the last 2 weeks at Jay County last week.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that this was going to be kind of a foundational year for Brock Rohrbacher in year 1 at Woodland. And starting off 1-3, albeit against with a difficult schedule, the ACAC schedule is front-loaded with Heritage and Bluffton to start a conference season. But since then, 3 straight wins. They go to South Adams next week in a winnable game. So credit to Brock Rohrbacher and the Warriors. The Fleet Cousins really leading the way. It's a dominating win on the road. They'll have to continue to be road warriors next week against South Adams. It's a team in Woodland that only has 3 home games in the regular season this year, 6 on the road. So they're in the midst of 3-3 before they'll wrap up the season at home against Adams Central. And
moving over to the Northeast Corner Conference, everything wrapped up except Angola versus Owen Valley tonight at 6 o'clock. But Churubusco keeps rolling. They've won 4 in a row, all 4 conference games. They're 4-3 overall, shutting out a Central Noble team 34-0. Of course, Central Noble now still winless after 7 tries.
Yeah, we were so quick to write off Churubusco after the first 3 weeks of the season, and congratulations to them to really be able to really put it together with largely a young team. And that can be difficult, guys, when you start off 0-3, you get dominated 3 straight games with a young team to keep them engaged. And since that 0-3 start, they're 4-0. They're back-to-back shutouts. They'll go to West Noble next week in a interdivision matchup. They wrapped up that small division championship last night, ending the reign of terror of Eastside, 5 straight division champions. So congratulations to Churubusco, and brighter days ahead for that team, regardless of what they're able to do the rest of the season. And they're in that sectional now with Adams Central and Bluffton, remember, is next year. I mean, this is a very, very young squad. So congratulations to Paul Sade and that team after the slow start to really get the ship righted.
And we had Eastside over Fremont 38-7. Lincoln Carter 238 total yards on the night. But Justin, I want to get to the Garrett game against Fairfield, 42-12. Cam Rubel, another outstanding game for the Railroaders as they move their record overall to 7-0, but 3-0 in Big School Conference.
And the Railroaders just keep rolling, don't they? It continues to be very, very impressive what Garrett's been able to do. They've clinched a share of at least a share of the Big Division Championship. They'll play Angola next week to kind of try to wrap it up. Calder Hefty, he threw just 4 passes, 3 of which were touchdowns, 2 to Parker Skelly, 1 to Alex Guzman. Guzman, Braden Nussbaum, and Cameron Rubel all rushed for touchdowns. It continues to look like a very special, special group for Garrett. The first 7-0 start for them in 20 years, and they really wrap up one of their goals, which was a division championship. They have Angola and Central Noble to continue to prepare for the postseason. And while you look at that West Noble game in Week 6, that 17-6 win, could it be a rematch in Sectional 26 that decides this, with Garrett and West Noble really the top 2 teams in that sectional? So we talk about rematches that we could potentially see in the postseason that we can't wait to see. That's another one, guys, Garrett West Noble.
And the final game of the evening for the Northeast Corner Conference had West Noble shutting out Lakeland 35-0. Seth Pruitt, 4 touchdowns on the night. And I guess to me, the most exciting stat here is the fact that West Noble shuts out Lakeland, a team that was averaging 30-plus points a game through the first 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's a great point, Jim, because we want to praise Seth Pruitt, and for good reason. He rushed for 280 yards and 4 touchdowns, a return to form for him. But it's West Noble's first shutout of Lakeland since 1991 last night. You mentioned that offense for Lakeland is no joke. I mean, vertically, Braden Holbrook and Kean Arroyo and the personnel he has to throw to is very impressive. But they held Braden Holbrook to 7 of 18 for 45 yards, just 82 total yards of offense for Lakeland last night. So maybe the bigger statement was made by the defense last night for West Noble in that shutout.
Yes, indeed. Well, Justin, we want to thank you for joining us each and every week to recap high school football. And it's hard to believe we're through 7 weeks of the season already. And some intriguing matchups for Week 8, of course, that we mentioned briefly. But we can talk more in depth about those next Saturday and see what the results are.
Let's do it, fellas. Can't wait.
All right. Thanks so much, Justin. We appreciate you. That was Justin Kenny from OutsideTheHuddle.net and OPS, and he is quite the authority on high school football in Northeast Indiana. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Then when we come back, let's talk to Mike McCaffrey, athletic director at the University of St. Francis, in our weekly Cougar Chat. We'll do that when we return. You're listening to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One.
You thank the people that add so much to our lives? How do you celebrate a community that brings out the best in all of us? You give back. In 2022, McMahon's Best One gave more than $100,000 to local organizations that are always there to lift us up, to listen, to strengthen us, every one of us. Throughout the year, McMahon's Best One will continue to give back to the community that has given so much to us, bringing out the best in each other, together.
Hear every big play, every touchdown, and every win.
Spins away from it. He's got it wide open for a touchdown.
Jump on the Boilermakers Special. Boiler up, Purdue fans. Purdue takes on Wisconsin at Camp Randall in Madison. Join us live this Saturday. Our coverage begins at 11 a.m. right here on your home for Purdue Boilermakers football. On 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne Sports Station.
You know, I couldn't stop talking about it to my family and friends. My knees are my trouble spot. But for me to tell them now that I'm doing so much better, they were amazed, and I've been amazed.
QC Kinetics Cellular Therapies. Yes, it is amazing how these non-surgical treatments deliver joint pain relief for patients like Dr. Eric Williams, a successful chiropractor.
Each week, I just started noticing that I could sleep and not have pain. I could play pickleball. I could do a CrossFit exercise routine.
QC Kinetics revitalizes your joints so you can move again without the pain pills or invasive surgery.
You know, I'm 60 years old and I want to stay competitive as long as I can. And QC has allowed me to do that. They did me right and really made a difference in my life.
Book your free consultation with QC Kinetics today and experience the difference for yourself.
I like to go, move, move.
QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 260-333-9383. That's 260-333-9383. 260-333-9383.
It's the big one this Friday and Saturday at Christopher James Menswear. A huge trunk show featuring friends from Copley, Magnani Shoes, Cabal, and Stenstrom's. Friday from 3 to 8. Saturday from 10 to 3 only to benefit Camp What You Want to Do. Enjoy music from Alicia Pyle with food and drink from Catablu Grill. Friday from 4 to 8. That's a special fall trunk show event and sale. Copley, Magnani Shoes, Cabal, and Stenstrom's. Only at Christopher James Menswear. Friday and Saturday only in Covington Plaza on West Jefferson, a block west of Getz.
Now on My Deals Fort Wayne, you can get two $25 certificates for $25. Golden Corral offers a legendary endless buffet at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From home-style menu favorites to signature sirloin steaks to seasonal promotional specials, there are always new menu items to explore. Golden Corral's unmatched variety accommodates most all nutrition needs such as low-carb, vegan, paleo, and plant-based diet plans. Head over to MyDealsFortWayne.com to purchase your deal.
Now back to Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One. Along with DC Hendricks, I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks for tuning in as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. If you'd like to be part of the show or have a question, do so via the text line at 260-447-8500. That's 260-447-8500, and we will take a look at your text. How about that? Let's go to the Talkin Sports phone line, powered by Fire Police City County Federal Credit Union, because on there is Mr. Mike McCaffrey. Mike, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy. How are you, buddy?
I am great this morning. Starting to get my voice back from last Saturday. The homecoming 70 points put up by the Cougar offense. Holy cow, what an exhibition that was.
Yeah, you hope when you line up homecoming and you invite all back the alumni, you put on a good show, and I'm thankful that the football team came through on that one. It was a fun afternoon. Right from the jump, I kind of felt like it might go that way, and then the boys didn't disappoint, kept their foot on the pedal, and took care of Madonna like we thought we needed to, and it's good to get 3 in a row, and now we got to head down to Taylor and take on a really good team who lost in overtime last week to Marion. But Taylor, this is a different Taylor team. I haven't seen film or anything, but just looking at scores and looking at their opponents, it's going to be a tough haul down there at Upland, which is always a tough place to play. Even when they're not as competitive as normal, they play us tough down there for some reason. But this year they're playing well too, so it could get interesting down there in Upland this afternoon. But Yeah, try to get to 4 in a row after a big one last week. That I think we got just about everybody on the sidelines got into the game last week. I'm sure your job was pretty busy trying to find out who was who.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We went a little further than the 2 deep last week, I would have to imagine.
5 quarterbacks, I believe, saw snaps. So it was, the second half was one that you really had to pay attention. But still, like you said, a fun win on homecoming weekend and everything, too. But, and then going to Taylor, a little bit better team than maybe the past few weeks. But this isn't the same Cougar team, really, that was beaten by Indiana Wesleyan in week 1.
No, it's definitely not. They're playing much better. The second game is when we kind of introduced the world to Josh Kolka. And Josh just brings kind of a different element at the quarterback position. Very athletic, strong arm. He can chuck it, whether he's on the run or whether he's sitting in the pocket. Grant Gremmel was good last year and then earned the right to be our starter this year and got that first start against Indiana Wesleyan. But we've moved on past that game, and we still got everything ahead of us. We've got to play Marion, we've got to play St. X, we've got to play St. Francis, Illinois, and if we take care of business in those 3 games, then we should be where we want to be at the end of the year. But between the running game getting going and just there's about 4 or 5 receivers that I think Josh is pretty comfortable with throwing the ball down the field to. You've got Crosley, you've got Avante Vickers, and now you've got Bodie Dickerson and McCall Ray and Noah McPeak. And so, there's a lot of weapons that if we can give Josh some time to throw, he's going to be pretty effective down the field.
Yeah, a lot of fun in an array of capable receivers. So, once again, back at home next week, so get on out there and watch your Cougar football team as well at Darcy Stadium. But let's talk about some of the other sports. And actually, let's talk about one that is out of season kind of right now, but it's the Cougar softball team. They have quite the exhibition coming up.
Yeah. So tomorrow afternoon, we're going to head over to South Bend, Indiana, and play the Notre Dame softball team in a little fall exhibition. Coach Ryan Boland's been working camps up at Notre Dame for years and is good friends with what was their assistant coach, who just became their new head coach. And as soon as she got the job as the head coach, offered the opportunity for our team to come up and play a fall exhibition. So we're going to do that tomorrow. Going to jump on the bus at around 8:30, 8:45, and head up and play a 1:30 softball game against Notre Dame up on their campus, which will be a great experience for our kids. Great opportunity for our team to not only get a fall game in. Usually we play Indiana Tech in the fall, and that's kind of it, maybe PFW. But to get this opportunity to go to their campus and go up to Notre Dame and all the magic and everything that is up there, it'll be cool. We're not going up, expecting to put a loss on Notre Dame's record or anything, but just to get that experience in is going to be pretty cool. Kind of like, basketball got to go down and play IU in an exhibition a few years ago, which not quite the same thing, but it is. It means just as much for our softball program as that did for basketball. But it's a fun opportunity. I'm excited. I'm going to ride up on the bus and take a trip up there with them. And everybody always wants to maybe see if they can get over and hit the grotto. I don't know how far that is from the softball field. I haven't been to the softball field on campus yet, but might have a couple hours beforehand to walk around and take some stuff in.
Oh, that would be awesome. And Mike, are there any logistical challenges when an NAIA team does something like this of an exhibition status in a sport?
Not really. We were allowed 2 fall scrimmages every year, so it just depends on who you want those to be. Obviously, the NAIA, we go by NCAA rule books in all of our sports, so it's nothing has to change as far as the in-game play or the strategy or how you warm up or prepare or substitute or anything like that. Our rules are all the same, so it's just a good opportunity, and we're excited. And I know Coach Boland's pumped to get up there and get out on that field and see how our girls can rise to the occasion.
Sounds like a great opportunity. And how about an update on men's, women's soccer, and we've got other sports going on as well right now.
Yeah. So women's soccer coming off a nice win on Wednesday over Huntington. They'll be home today at 2:00 against Bethel. The men lost 1-0 down at Huntington on Wednesday night. Tough game. They got to go up to Bethel today, which is always fun for our men's team to go to Bethel because that's where Mambo was a coach a few years ago when they won the national championship. So I know it's always a fun trip for him to head up to Bethel again. So hopefully we can go get a win there. They play at 5:00, I think, up at Bethel. But the women are home today at 2, and hopefully they can keep their magic going. They're having a heck of a season and now got their first Crossroads League win. Hopefully we can stack another one on top of it. They're both fun teams to watch. They're playing really well. It's just such a tough conference to get wins that, 1-0, it is sometimes, we don't have moral victories an awful lot, but, 1-0 in a Crossroads League match is sometimes the result that you end up getting because it's just such a tough conference. But hopefully we can steal one up at Bethel on the men's side, and we can keep the momentum rolling for the women at home. And tennis finished up this week in the conference tournament. Good to make the conference tournament and had to play the number 1 seed on both sides. So caught a bit of a buzzsaw earlier this week. And cross country is off this week. They'll be back at it next week. And then we get rolling into the winter sports here coming up. Volleyball's finishing up. Dropped a tough one to Mount Vernon on Wednesday, but they're back at it again today. So everybody's in competition. Everybody's trying to get it done. And obviously we hope football, soccer, volleyball can all get us a nice Saturday sweep.
Yes, in looking at the October schedule, now this is the first Talkin Sports program of the month of October, but I just kind of took a look and to see what openings and what first games happen in the month of October, and the St. Francis men will open on the 29th at IU Columbus. So here's the month of October, and men's basketball gets started. The women will start, looks like November 1st. But, here we are. I mean, within just a little over a few weeks away from the Cougar men's basketball team hitting the court.
Yep. Yeah, no, Hutzel will be rocking here soon, and we'll finish up these fall sports and hopefully have a few postseason appearances to track and chase after. And if we can get that into, obviously, football will go into the second, third week of November, so we'll still be playing that when everything else is going. But, I got to try to finish strong in volleyball and hope that they can get into the conference tournament and maybe upset some people. And, again, the soccer teams are fun to watch, and I'm pulling for them to try to do something special here down the road. But it's October is the crossover month. We're gonna get hot and heavy and get crazy and get busy, but it wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us this morning, as always, and we will talk to you next Saturday.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right. That was Mike McCaffrey, athletic director at the University of St. Francis, in our weekly Cougar Chat. And, I mentioned October. Hey, it's October. Here we go. The Comets home opener is going to be on the 25th of this month against Cincinnati at the Coliseum. The PFW women's hoops open on the 29th. And then the men will host Notre Dame in that exhibition contest on the 30th of October. And the women of Indiana Tech will open on October 24th at home against Huntington. And the Tech men open at IWU on Halloween. So that's some of what happens in the month of October. So we're segueing into the winter sports. So we're going to go ahead and step out, take a break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking with Mark Delagarza, founder of the Summit City Sluggers. He's got a project that he's embarking on that we're going to talk a little bit about and see if maybe needs a little bit of help. We'll do all that when we return. You're listening to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. If you looked at your auto or homeowner's insurance rate lately, think it's about time to get a competitive quote? Call the Wise Insurance Agency today at 260-747-5373. Located at 7410 Bluffton Road, Wise Insurance is a local company that's been in business for 25 years. Being an independent agent working with over 15 A-plus rated carriers allows Coach Ron Wise to assess your needs and determine the best option for you to give you maximum coverage with the most affordable premiums. The Wise Wise Insurance Agency also offers motorcycle, RV, and watercraft insurance, as well as renter's insurance, flood, and umbrella policies. Multi-policy discounts are also available, and make sure to ask Ron about the good student discount up to 20%. Let Coach Wise show you the fundamentals of getting the right insurance. Don't put it off. Contact Coach Ron and the Wise Insurance Agency team today at 260-insuranceagency.com.
The first ever Milo's Rewards Week is coming, and it's kind of a big deal. Members, get ready for 7 days of up to 40% off store-wide on hundreds of items. Save on the top brands in home decor, holiday, tools, and more. Our biggest member deals start October 10th, so if you're not a loyalty member, now's the time to join for free. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offer valid 10/10 through 10/16. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Call today for your complimentary free consultation. 800-402-7914. 800-402-7914. 800-402-7914. That's 800-402-7914.
Looking to build, renovate, expand, or relocate your facilities? CME Construction is the name you need to know. Our legacy of dynamic leadership and loyal client relationships have made CME Construction the contractor of choice for business owners and stakeholders who have vision and mission in mind. No matter the project, it's your time to build it right. Learn more at cmeconstruction.com. That's cmeconstruction.com.
Now back to Talkin' Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin' Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One. Along with DC Hendricks, I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks for tuning in as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. And then at 10 o'clock, we bring you Fighting Irish Preview as the Judge Phil Houcken, America's foremost authority on Notre Dame Fighting Irish football. Tim Priester will break down what happened last week, and this week is a bye, and so what's going to happen next week. So do tune in at 10 o'clock or keep it right here. But let's go to the Talkin' Sports phone line powered by Fire Police City County Federal Credit Union, because on that is Mr. Mark Delagarza of the Summit City Sluggers. Mark, good morning, sir.
Morning, Jim. How are you?
I am great this morning. Anytime I can talk baseball is a good day. So, and here we are. But you have got a very special project in the works, and it's one that evokes, well, a lot of memories, a lot of nostalgia, because this site that you are going to be embarking upon is one that's had a lot of youth history, let's put it that way. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, what happened, Jim, is I reached out to the president of Elmhurst Little League, and, you know, she talked about some of their struggles, and I went over there and I seen their facility, and, you know, I used to go over there 25 years ago and watch games, and it was a hopping place.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Elmhurst Little League almost looks like a third world country. I mean, it's been neglected for several years, and I told her, I says, you know, she said she's losing players to other places and travel ball and stuff like that. And I said, well, the first thing we need to do is clean this up, clean the field up so the curb appeal is better. And she agreed, and so that's the place we're starting, but it's a project. It's been let go. It needs, I guess, a lot of TLC and a lot of manpower and some capital funds to get working with. And, we're just trying to do what we can now before winter. Bill Jones, the late coach at DeKalb, always told me, he says, if you want your field to look good in the spring, you got to put it to bed, the way you want it in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get as much done before winter as we can right now. And there's 3 fields over there. Like I said, the bones are there, and there's a vision. It just needs a lot of help.
Well, yeah, you said there's 3 fields there. I believe it's a minor league, major league, little league, and then a senior league diamond, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, Elmhurst Little League resides within, it's called Mason Park, if I'm not mistaken. So, that's, I, like you, would go there, and I was able to coach some All-Stars there, and I watched games there over the years. I may have played there in Little League All-Stars in the 70s, and that was always a hotbed, always a lot of activity going on. But, and oftentimes these leagues can start to fall apart when adult volunteers within the league start to dwindle. And, of course, and you mentioned kids will go to other leagues or travel teams and things like that, too. And I guess I got a question, Mark. Do you see travel teams popping up maybe when they shouldn't?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's I'll say a lot of kids playing so-called travel baseball that really belong in, rec league, little league, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I get where you're going. Yes, the answer is yes. There's too many.
And I've seen over the years that maybe a father thinks little Billy should be playing short and batting third, and by golly, he'll create his own team to do that. And that's what happens. Whether Billy's dad knows anything about the game or organizing young people and families anyway. So there's a little bit more to it than that. And of course, I'm preaching to the choir with you. And how many years have the Sluggers been in effect?
It's 1996.
My gosh. Yeah. And
I've seen the transition. And, when I look back on it, travel ball was really good when Little League was good.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's flipped over and travel ball's all watered down, and Little Leagues are struggling. So my attitude is let's help Little Leagues get back on path and have some substance, and then maybe, we can straighten things out with travel ball and Little League. Little League's got it. They got a good thing going. I think what's happened is in 2025, it's just hard to get volunteers.
Yes.
In 2024, we're almost at 25, but it's hard to get people to volunteer, and that's where we're struggling. The people that need to be, we need there, I don't think they realize that there's something going on. So I'm using you today in this venue to reach out to people and let them know we got a park, and we got some people that have a vision and some ambition and want to get going, and we just need some help.
Well, Mark,
you can't take care of 3 fields by yourself.
Yeah, and I was going to say, aside from just sheer manpower, what are your biggest needs for getting these diamonds ready for the winter?
We need some sponsors to help fund some of the things that need to be done. Right now, I had 2 guys come in and give me quotes on redoing the dugouts. The dugouts, the wood's rotted. The benches need to, they aren't painted. and I've got a crew coming in Wednesday and Thursday. I have Matt Hilly from Southside High School said he'd bring his team over, and Lure's head coach said that he would bring his team over, and they're going to do some manual labor. You know, the tops of the fences have that yellow tile on them, and it's all dry rotted and looks awful. So we're going to take that off, and then, you know, hopefully by spring we can get the funding to put it back on, and new back on, and get the dugouts cleaned up, and then of course the playing surfaces are number one concern right now because they've just been neglected. The mounds, instead of being a bump, they're a fishbowl. They need dirt. They need to be redone, and it's a matter of just getting some manpower in there with some equipment and get it taken care of.
Well, Mark, if somebody listening is willing and able to help out, how do they get in touch with you? Call me at 260-402-0789. We got a place for everybody. You know, if you got a skill, I mean, an electrician, I could keep an electrician busy for 2 days in there, just cleaning up things that have been let go. People that do yard work, guys that have equipment, bobcats, things like that, we can keep you busy and go at it that way. All right. Well, Mark, thank you for joining us, and thank you for stepping up and doing something. You know, a lot of people talk about doing the right thing, but fewer people actually take that step and dig in, and we appreciate you doing that for the game of baseball and for the kids and the families of the Fort Wayne area. We appreciate it. Hey, Jim, there's a need for fields in Fort Wayne. We need fields. Yes. And, they have them, and we can get them cleaned up, and people can use them again. Yes, indeed. That's for sure. Well, Mark, thank you for joining us, and keep us posted. All right. Thanks for having me on, Jim. I appreciate it. All right. That was Mark Delagarza, founder of the Summit City Sluggers. And, yes, DC, from your coaching and playing and things like that that is in need of refurbishment.
Oh, yeah. I still take my boy over there sometimes because I kind of sometimes when I want that nostalgia feeling, I go back to Elmhurst Little League where I played. And, yes, he put it very kindly how much that field needs updated. Like, the dugout, I'm glad he said dugouts because the dugouts look like they've been abandoned since I was there. Yeah. Like, it looks like nothing has been updated there. I mean, the hitting cage, the batting cage is all torn up at the end of it. There's literally a giant hole. Like, you can just hit it straight out. Like, especially if you get a good hitter in there. If you hit the ball good, it can just go straight out of the cage and into the woods. So, really glad to see Elmhurst Little League getting that TLC that it definitely needs. That used to be the site at times of the Fort Wayne City Championship, the District 10 Invitational, if you will. But the city tournament used to culminate there oftentimes at Elmhurst Little League. So, if you've got an opportunity, get with Mark. 260-447-8500 is the text number. We just got a couple of minutes left in the show. However, got a text in from Ted Fry. And he said, not sure if you knew this or not, but Rich Coffey passed away a couple of weeks ago. He was a great guy, the general manager of the Fort Wayne Fury, and had the arena football team here. Also, he did a lot for the community. Yes, indeed, he did, Ted. I appreciate you doing this. He brought the Fury in, and from the jump, the Fury was relevant and drew a good amount of fans, and was some pretty fun basketball to watch too, and had some personalities. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Ted worked in corporate sales for the Fury as well. So I bet Ted would have some nice stories to tell about his days with the Fury and Rich Coffey as well. But rest in peace, Rich Coffey, somebody who was in the sport profession and knew that that's not something that you get rich on, that's for sure. But no pun intended on that. But rest easy, Rich Coffey. And yes, he did so much for this community. Thanks, Ted. We appreciate that. That's going to do it for Talkin Sports this morning.
for a Saturday, October 5th. Thanks so much to Justin Kenny of OPS and OutsideTheHuddle.net for joining us. Also, Mike McCaffrey, athletic director at the University of St. Francis, and also Mark Delagarza of the Summit City Sluggers. And yes, got a text back from Ted that says, yes, I have some stories. And I bet I would love to hear those. And so that would be great. But until next week, have a great week, everybody.
Podcasts by Federated Media.